Hey guys, it's Jason. It's Saturday night. Welcome to the Simpademic. I have a part 2 here for you, but this is going to have a twist to it because it's a part 2 of 3 different subjects I've spoken of. And here's how this all came together, okay? I told a story about a few weeks ago about a coworker of mine who had been approached by an older man in my office. Now, that brings me to one situation where I have had an episode where I said, don't approach or date at work. Just don't do it. And so that's the first thing that this is a part 2 of. Just don't do that at all. And I mean, this is a younger person. I would definitely have no interest there because, she's almost 30 years younger than myself. But I will also add onto the fire. So that's part 1. That's the first thing that this is a part 2 of. The second thing that this is a part 2 of is that this man, she found out through his actual work team that he's actually married and that ring was not a mirage. So she saw that and she thought that that was the case, and she actually talked to other people on his team and verified that to be the case. So this is a part 2 of I don't condone cheating in any sort of way. Just don't do it. I don't condone it. I don't care what kind of reason you have. I don't care how attractive you think she is. It's just a no-go. It is nothing but a hornet's nest. Again, I am a evangelical Christian, so in our world, this is sinful. But even if you don't believe in any of that, this is still not a good thing at all. Just don't do it. The third thing is that I have mentioned that men can be creeps in a previous episode. So this is part 2 of that too, because there's an extension here. In that this fella I found out yesterday has continued to talk to my fellow team member there, the younger one. And I told her yesterday, I said, if this keeps up, I said, this is a legitimate harassment case, not a fake one. And I mean, she's been very calm, almost too calm in my opinion, about this whole thing. But if he continues to approach her and continues to try to ask her out or whatever, I said, this is a legitimate HR case. This is not one of those false harassment cases where you see on black pill channels such as Cosmic Verse and Manhood talking about false harassment cases or Men Only, any of those AI generated faceless channels that promote black pill content. This is not one of those. And I don't think all men fall into those buckets, where they have been given false accusations. And again, I have been one of those, just for merely approaching somebody at a church and suggesting brunch afterwards on one of those weeks. I never had her phone number, I never had her address, and it's not anything where I would potentially be harassing, but because I wasn't the typical Chad, I got the usual I have a boyfriend line, which is actually what my coworker has also used herself. Again, that's not true. She doesn't have a boyfriend. But she used that as kind of a push away line, and did not want to go through the accusation process. But I said, if he continues to do this, you have a legitimate case. And I would talk to our manager. We share the same manager. So this is a part 2 of that particular episode as well. So I thought I would film one quick little episode there of how this all kind of came together in one particular conversation yesterday. And yes, men can be creeps, and this man I think really is a creep. And her guess is that he's older than I am, and one look at him and it's probably true. He probably is older than myself, and he's married and he has a ring, and he's still doing this inside of the office, an area again where I say just don't do it as far as any kind of a dating is concerned. And I even told this to a woman who I've connected with and had conversation with, but even she knows my stance on this because, and I just know that, you know, this is my conversations with you have nothing to do with this at all. There's no physical attraction, and you're a single mother of 3 children. And I don't have the energy to do that because of my medical history in the past 4 years with the traumatic brain injury and hospitalization of that. I don't have the energy to handle that. And so I said, you know what, don't take it that way at all. This is the last thing. I just happen to be drawn to people who have been to hell and back a few times. And she's in the same club that I am. The other thing that this other lady brings up is it's not always the man, it's not always the woman who initiates the divorce. Sometimes it is the man. In her case, that was the truth. And so all of these black pill channels will always say that, women are always initiating the divorces. Well, it's not always true. It's true about 80% of the time, but she's in that 20% club where he initiated divorce, and 2, he's been dodging the child support payments that were awarded to her for the children. And I asked, how much money are we talking about here? And right now we're talking about $30,000. So if you're a man who has been ordered by a legal court to pay child support, don't dodge it. This is money for your children, or at least it should be. Now, if you've got a gold digger, you can have that reconsidered and given the, have it reconsidered as far as finances is concerned. In the case with this other coworker of mine who's the single mother of 3, that's not going to be on the table because she believes that the amount that was being awarded would have already been sufficient. But because he's not paying, she's working a lot of extra hours and living a fairly modest lifestyle because of it. I wouldn't even say modest, I would say kind of Spartan at this point. So, don't believe the black pill myth that all divorces are initiated by women. It's about 70 to 80% depending on who you believe, but there are cases where the man does initiate the divorce, and she is one of them. So I don't like putting blanket statements on any situation in general, but this is my other coworker, the younger one. I had to just kind of put this episode together so that, because it is a part 2 of 3 different things I've discussed before, and it's one neat package here. So I thought I'd throw this out there. So if you're a guy, if you're married, don't cheat. If you are in a workplace, don't date or pursue anybody in the workplace, because I just think it's a bad idea in general. And I have almost never seen those end well. I've almost never seen those relationships end well. And yes, guys, there are guys who legitimately are creepy. And this guy across on the other side of the floor from us is one of those. So if you feel like if you're being a simp, which of course is the name of this channel, is to end the Simpademic, first of all, don't fall into the simp trap to begin with. Don't idolize or get obsessed with a woman. For those of us who are of the faith, the only one who is worthy of our worship is God himself. And, if you're a Christian man, obsessing or simping after women is actually against Scripture. And in that regard, just don't do these things. Don't be a creep. Don't be a simp. Don't cheat. And don't pursue romance in the workplace. These are all hills I will die on. And I'll do it with a smile at the same time. So anyway, guys, it's Jason and the Simpademic, off to get myself a late dinner. It's getting nice and warm here in Minnesota. You know, we've been around 80 degrees lately, which for this part of the country at this time of year is actually on the high side. But anyway, you guys enjoy your Saturday nights. Don't do anything stupid. Don't get behind the wheel drunk. And just be respectful and nice to each other. And again, for the guys out there, don't be a creep, don't be a simp, don't be a cheater, and don't fish for romance in the office. That is it. That is my spiel for tonight. It's Jason and Simpademic. You folks have a phenomenal rest of the weekend, and I believe I will too. Peace out, homies.